Hello, Faith Leader, and welcome to Breaktime. Today, Psalm 8:5 says, "You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor." Do you know who them is? Them is us. And David took a look at the great skies and couldn't imagine how God still has his mind on you and me. And so he penned this next verse that said this: "You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor." And now he's given us our identity. He's realizing that his identity in the great in God's mind, how God has created you and me. He's made us a little lower than the angels. And we have been crowned. Imagine a crown of God's glory being encircling you wherever you go. Did you read this? Did you hear this? We've been crowned them with glory and honor. That's who we are. We've been crowned by God with this glory. This is really difficult for me to understand. Can you grasp it? Because if we grasp our identity in view of how God sees us, in view of how he created us, in view of how he made us, in view of what God has said about us, we wouldn't have these low self-images and these low self-esteems, because all of a sudden we realize that there's so much greatness about us than what we can even begin to see, because we can't see this crown of glory and honor that God has placed on us. But it is there in view of how God has made us. And if we imagine that for a minute, that we realize that we are he's a majestic king, and we're in that majesty. We're part of his kingdom. That's part of that is who we are, is in God's majestic kingdom. We're his children. And so as a result of those children, he doesn't leave his crown of glory off of us. He places it on us. His presence is on us. His honor is on us. But so often we look to the things of this world trying to establish who we are. We look there first, and then we give God praise for what we find in the world, what the world is saying about us. But it's turned around. It's not because of what the world has said about us or some test has said about you. It's about what God first. First, God has how he has created you. And he's created you a little lower than the angels. And then as a result of that, he said, "I've crowned you with my glory, and I've given you honor." That's who we are. We're not people trying to find ourselves in the midst of the world, but we're people who God has established in the midst of his presence, in the midst of his majesty. That's who you are. That's who you get to be. That's who Christ is teaching us to become. And I can't imagine what heaven would be like, because we will fully understand that. Here we're figuring it out, and we're trying to find it in the wrong places until God shows up and reveals to us that this is who you are. You've been crowned with glory. You've been crowned with honor. You're my prince. You're my princess. Have a blessed day.